I'd like to call to order the Lansing City Council meeting for March 13th. The clerk could please read the roll.
Okay, Councilmember Brown,
Present.
Councilmember Garza,
Here.
Councilmember Hussein,
Here.
Councilmember Jackson, Councilmember Cost,
Here.
Councilmember Spatafor,
Present.
Councilmember Spitzley, Councilmember Wood.
Here.
There are 8 members present at quorum, no members are absent.
At this time, it is time for meditation and the pledge. Is there anyone that someone would like us to remember during meditation? Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we all know, Irvin Johnson Sr. passed away, so I believe we should remember him as certainly an important member of our City of Lansing community.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that someone would like remembered at this time? Seeing no one, if we could please rise. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have for your approval the council proceedings of February 13th and February 27th.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. I move the minutes as written of February 13th and 27th.
We have a motion on the minutes. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And we are to special ceremonies. We have a tribute in recognition of the Cesar E. Chavez Memorial Observance.
Vice President Garza, and I think we have Guillermo in the audience to receive this. And anyone else he'd like to bring down at this time is fine.
All right, thank you. I have a tribute here for Cesar Chavez. Whereas Cesar Chavez was born on March 31st, 1927 in North Gila River Valley in Arizona on the small family farm his grandfather homesteaded. Cesar Chavez's father lost the farm during the Great Depression, forcing the family to join some 30,000 farm workers who followed the crops throughout California and lived in tents and makeshift housing that often lacked a bathroom, electricity, or running water. He was 10 years old when he began working in the fields and was forced to leave school after the 8th grade to help support his family. Whereas Cesar Chavez became an organizer for the Community Service Organization, the CSO, a barrio-based group where he coordinated voter registration drives, fought racial and economic discrimination, organized new CSO chapters across California and Arizona, and rose to become the CSO's national director from 1958 to 1962. After leaving the CSO, Chavez co-founded the United Farm Workers, the UFW, and under his leadership, the UFW organized strikes and boycotts to protest for, and later win, higher wages for those farm workers in the grape and vegetable industry. The UFW was instrumental in the passage of the Agricultural Labor Relations Act, which became the first law governing farm labor in the continental United States. And whereas for more than 3 decades, Cesar Chavez led the first successful farm workers union in American history, achieving dignity, respect, fair wages, medical coverage, and pension benefits. His motto in life is "Si se puede," it can be done, embodies the uncommon and invaluable legacy he left for the world's benefit. And as March 31st is now Cesar Chavez Day in the United States, a national holiday honoring the life and memory of the great labor leader, role model and hero of our United States of America, and should be greatly recognized by all his unwavering efforts of assuring fair wages, good living, and humane working conditions, health care, education, and respect for American farm workers continuing to this very day. Whereas Friday, March 31st, 2023 marks the 14th annual Cesar E. Chavez Memorial Observance, we have looked into the future, and the future is ours. The keynote speaker for this event is Felice E. Rodriguez, Ingham County Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. The Lansing City Council encourages the residents of Lansing to attend the 14th Annual Cesar E. Chavez Memorial Observance. We have looked into the future, and the future is ours. Held on Friday, March 31st, 2023 at noon. And with that, I move the resolution. And Guillermo, would you like to say some words?
We have a motion on the resolution. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes unanimously. Mr. Lopez.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm accompanied by a very special person, Mr. Adam Garza, who happens to be none other than Jeremy's dad, and a longtime supporter of Cesar Chavez. Thank you very much for being here tonight. As the councilman said, we will have a program. We're starting again the Cesar Chavez program, annual memorial celebration on March 31st here in council chambers. And we invite everybody to come over and spend the noon time with us, and we will have some munchies afterwards, so you don't miss lunch, okay? If you're working. Otherwise, you're welcome to come. And this resolution, along with others that we have received, and along with the mayor's proclamation, will be sent to the Cesar Chavez Center, Foundation Center in California. So this goes a long way from us, so they know that we're here continuing to support Chavez, as Lansing has always supported Chavez and the United Farm Workers Union. Chavez was a regular visitor to Lansing, and he visited not only City Hall and others, but he was also a very good friend of Tony Benavides, previous mayor Tony Benavides, who has since passed. But there's a long history of the union, of the United Farm Workers Union, Cesar Chavez in Lansing. So, yes, sir. Si se puede, right? Si se puede. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. This is a celebration that council and then the ad hoc committee on diversity had been doing for some time. So since COVID, we're glad to be able to start that back up again under the leadership of Vice President Garza. So with that.
We are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Comments by council members. Councilmember Koss, Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, President Wood. I'd like to direct my comment at the mayor and Executive Assistant Jane, if I could. So I have gone through the...
Sorry about that.
Oh,
Okay. Go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there.
The mayor and Jane.
Yes.
Okay.
I have sent 3 emails now through the proper channels for a code issue that is turning into a humanitarian issue at this point. That's the concern right now with this trailer on this property. I can send you the property. No water, no electric, and no heat. If I could get those addressed or get a response.
Where were they sent?
They were sent to Christy, Barb, and Shelby.
And when?
Last week, this weekend, and then one today.
When last week?
Would have been last Thursday or Wednesday.
We can certainly look at it.
We were just looking for an update. This is something that we've been discussing with this property, an ongoing issue. But if I could get, a response back in a timely fashion, I would appreciate it very much.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's Thursday, you're talking 2 days, but I'll find out tomorrow where we're at. Usually it goes right to code compliance for it to be checked.
Sure. Tomorrow then?
We'll do our best.
Great. I appreciate it very much, sir.
Next is Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. I just want to invite everyone to our monthly 4th Ward Constituent Contact Meeting every 4th Saturday of the month at Gregory's Restaurant, 2510 North Martin Luther King. This month, the 4th Saturday is March 25th, 10 to 10 o'clock, 2510 North Martin Luther King. We'll talk about anything 4th Ward and City of Lansing related. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I follow up? Do you know if that was submitted in Lansing Connect?
I'm not sure if the resident that came forward submitted it to Lansing Connect. They made me aware of the issue March 3rd.
Okay, if you can find
May-
out that was submitted to Lansing Connect, that would be helpful, so we know if that went through the process.
Oh,
Thank you.
Mayor Shore, I think the thing is we had, Councilmember Cost had gotten information from our office manager when both Barb and then Shelby came on board on how they wanted us to handle code issues. And we received an email on how we were supposed to address those, and I believe that's what he's done in getting that information out there. And again, you know, maybe they haven't had a chance to look at it or not, but just an acknowledgement that the email's been received and that we're looking into it, I think would be appreciated at this point.
We can give an acknowledgement. I mean, we get a lot of these, and that's okay. That's fine. You know, I know, Councilman, you're very active, and you provide a lot of these, so I'll make sure there's an acknowledgement and an update as we have them. I just didn't know if the citizen themselves put in something in Lansing Connect, because then we would track that backwards from the Lansing Connect date also. Thank you.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure, just a few things. I want to first thank folks that came out to our South Lansing or Southwest Lansing, I should say, constituent contact meeting this past Saturday. It was incredibly well attended. I want to give a special thanks out to Jim Dell, who was the volunteer coordinator with the RSVP program. He was out there to talk about the different programs that seniors and retirees can sign up for in terms of volunteering and some of the benefits, some of that being intrinsic, obviously, and then some of these things such as stipends and things of that nature that volunteers could receive. And I believe he was successful in signing up a few, but he did an incredible job, and we certainly appreciate him being out there and sharing that information. The second announcement is I wanted to announce that the Colonial Village Neighborhood Association will be meeting this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. This is the third Wednesday of the month. They actually meet the third Wednesday of the month every month, I think, with the exception of the summer months. They meet typically at 6:30 p.m., which will be the time of the meeting this Wednesday, and they meet at Grace United Methodist Church, which is at 1900 Boston Boulevard. And then lastly, I wanted to announce that the Luton Ridge Neighborhood Association will be meeting at 7 p.m., which is at 2901 West Mount Hope, Mayflower Church. The Mayflower Church is located at 2901 West Mount Hope. And I believe that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Luton Ridge is meeting at 7 p.m. and Colonial Village is at 6:30 p.m. No. Did I say Wednesday? I'm sorry, Luton Ridge is Thursday. Colonial Village is Wednesday.
Okay, any other council member comments? Seeing none?
Thank you. I do not have any announcements, so we are to community event announcements. If anyone in the audience has a community event, we'll give you 1 minute to tell us the details. Just go ahead and jump up.
America 20 to Life is proud to announce their upcoming State of the People address taking place on this Tuesday, March 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern. The live streamed online event will provide an in-depth, transparent look at the state of the people and the work being done in many different areas to move Lansing forward. In this address, America 20 to Life, along with guest co-host Jerry Norris from The Fledge, will dive deep into the topics that the mainstream media may not be covering, from local politics to social justice. The event will feature a panel of experts, community leaders, and elected officials who will provide insight and perspective on the challenges facing our city, as well as the types of solutions needed for long-term growth and success as a city. Attendees will also have the opportunity to ask questions and share their own thoughts and experiences through the comment section. Join America 20 to Life on their panel for a State of the People address that will inform, inspire, and empower. Don't miss the opportunity to be a part of an important conversation about the real issues affecting your city. Confirmed panelists: Pastor Derek Knox of Poor People's Campaign, Tashmika Torak of the Firecracker Foundation, Mike Carl of Cardboard Prophets, Adam Hussein of the 3rd Ward Council Member, Emily Divendorf, State Representative, 77th District. That'll also be at America 20 to Life on Facebook at 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Thank you. Any other community events?
Hello, Erica Lynn, the Village Lansing. We are holding our 2nd and 3rd financial literacy workshops hosted by MSU Federal Credit Union These are geared towards teenagers. Our next one is going to be March 22nd, and this one is specifically for seniors in high school. So this workshop is going to be tailored to seniors to prepare them to navigate their finances following graduation. So it's specifically for seniors in high school. That is at 6 p.m. Sign up at www.thevillagelansing.org or shoot us an email at thevillagelansing@gmail.com or message us on Facebook. Spots are limited, and it is a first come, first served basis, and these are free. Our last workshop will be April 5th, and that is open to grades 9 through 12. That's going to be general information, useful for all ages. And again, that's really navigating finances, whether it's having something that they want to save up for or just learning the basics of budgeting. So again, financial workshops, these are held at the Village Lansing at our Resource Center, March 22nd, 6 p.m., seniors in high school, April 5th, 6 p.m., grades 9 through 12. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we're announced that we're closing registration in a minute for the sign up for public comment on legislative matters. That's the blue form that you can sign up with Lauren in the back, and you can, during that period, you can address agenda items 5 through 16 on the agenda. And so we'll give you about another minute. In the meantime, we're to the mayor's comments.
Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Madam President. I have only a few things. I left my notes in the office. That's okay. First, I want to thank LPD. We had a few potential things reported of concern with our offices here in City Hall. I'd say a citizen who was distraught, and LPD was able to navigate that and get the gentleman the safety risk taken care of. So I do want to thank our police officers for a great job. We have our mobile food distribution this Saturday at Cristo Rey Church at 201 West Miller. We have our neighborhood resource fair coming up April 12th, the Schmidt Center from 6 to 8. We have the State of the City event tomorrow night at Everett High School. Doors open at 6. The program starts at 6:30. So I hope to see everybody there. Talk about the things that have been going on in our city for the last year. And then finally, our Financial Empowerment Center turns 10 years old today. So for all those that were here when it started, I know you were, Madam President, and the clerk, and a few others, but we know that's been wildly successful and a fantastic resource for our residents. So happy birthday to our Financial Empowerment Center, and thanks to Amber Paxton and Zach and the team for all that they do for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we are to public comment on legislative matters, and as I indicated, that is the public hearings as well as items 5 through 16, and the public hearings are item 3, renaming the planning board to the planning commission, and item 4, the special assessment for Glenburn Commons.
And with that, Councilmember Spitzley, if you'd like to give us an explanation on the first public hearing.
Sure, Madam President, thank you. So the first public hearing is to rename the planning board to the planning commission to be consistent with state law. In all the state documents, planning boards are called commissions, and so members of the planning board felt that to be more compatible with the language of state law, they wanted to change the board name from planning board to the planning commission. So all references to the planning board in the city charter, ordinances, resolutions, regulations shall hereafter refer to and be synonymous with the planning commission. One of the concerns that we had in development and planning was whether or not we had to reprint everything and whether there was going to be an expense in changing the name, the designation from planning board to planning commission. And our city attorney said there will not be, the language in the charter and all other documents by reference of this change in ordinance will reflect that it is now the planning commission. And so With that, I will move forward and we'll have the public hearing.
Thank you. Our next public hearing has to do with special assessments, and that's Councilmember Spatafor.
Thank you, Madam President. The item before us is the special assessment for the Glenburn Commons trash and grass abatement. Many of you remember the story about Glenburn Commons, neighborhood association that went defunct and required some intervention from the city, so a special assessment district was created. This is actually for trash but mostly lawn maintenance of a common area in that subdivision. This year's assessment per parcel comes out to $48.75, which is a pretty low neighborhood association fee as they go. And typically this is pro forma. There was no large trash removal this year or anything like that. It's been kept pretty clean over the last few years. So I would state that public hearing for the record and ask we move forward.
All right, thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Okay, we have one member of the public wishing to comment on this portion, and that's Michael Lynn.
Here again. I wanted to comment on number 13, the appointment of Amber Denny to the At-Large Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Board. This advisory board is now the second one that I believe the city has put together. And I just want to, I sat in that meeting 2 weeks ago, and it's now being headed by Councilman Garza. And Amber came in there, and I came in that one and gave public comment about my situation, and just really was drawing it home to the amount of money that we've spent trying to find this racism that's in the city that just keeps eluding us. And I thought about all these new people coming into this advisory board, and I heard who they're gonna have advising that advisory board, and they're gonna have another lawyer doing that. What the cost of that is, I don't know. But I was really kind of drawn back after sitting in that meeting and listening to the Alliance or whoever they are come in and explain all the things that they've done and worked on over the last year and a half or 2 years or whatever the case since they've been put in place, and that they've disbanded that group as well. And I was kind of I was encouraged by some of the things that they're saying, and I actually wrote Kim Coleman a letter next to her saying, wow, if these things had been in place, I probably would have saved my life, right? These things weren't in place when I was going through what I was going through, so that was encouraging. And I asked about the reparations of that. If we know that these things are being put in place because people have gone through what I've gone through, what are you doing about rectifying that? And she didn't have an answer for that. It's not her, it's not really not her position. But I asked that this board, again, to what I was getting to with that is that I sat in there and was encouraged by that, and then probably about 3 days later, I received a United States, the Department of Justice did a full investigation on the city of Lansing and came up with recommendations and mandates now for the city of Lansing. And this happened back in February, and again, I was in Garza's committee in March. And I'm just at pause to think that all of the mandates that I've seen on here, retaliation training, discrimination training, all of which they settled out of court for $80,000, and again, a money issue. Why none of those things were brought up in that committee when they came in to talk about it? Back in June of 2022, I believe, or excuse me, 2020, this council actually had put a resolution through to name racism a public health crisis, right? And we talked very heavily about Black Americans in the city of Lansing. And I haven't seen anything from that board or the city of Lansing directly affecting change for that. And actually, since 2020, I've only really seen multiple cases of discrimination coming out of the city of Lansing. And I'm just really hoping that with this new board, and I'm not really all that positive about it at this point, that this council holds them accountable to actually do some work and get something done where policy is concerned, and even if it means the administrative side of things too. So thank you.
Thank you.
To the referral of the public hearings, item 3, the Planning Commission,
We'll go back to Development and Planning Committee.
and item 4, the special assessment.
We'll go back to City Operations.
Okay, we are to the consent agenda, consisting of items 5 through 12, since we already did.
And we will be pulling item 9 off the consent agenda, and it will be voted on under resolutions for action. With that, Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. So I move the following items on the consent agenda, One tribute in recognition of Cesar A. Chavez Memorial Observance,
We already did that.
which was passed
Yep.
during special ceremonies. Claim disposition 1906, Abdullah Nidyai. Yes. All right, sorry. No, stay seated, sir. For $2,304 in trash removal fees at 4630 Christensen Road. Grant acceptance, U.S. Conference of Mayors Childhood Obesity Prevention and Environmental Health and Sustainability Grant. Grant acceptance, Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, Eagle, Recycling and Organics Infrastructure Grant. Liquor license, GGLL LLC, request for a Class C license and a Sunday sales PM outdoor service entertainment permit at 507 East Shiawassee Street. Social districts amended to include Lansing Shuffleboard LLC and Batter Up LLC in the downtown social district. And claim disposition, claim 1939 Delton Warren for $2,750 in trash removal fees at 1811 Maplewood Avenue.
Thank you, Vice President Garza. I do believe that there is someone in the audience for our claim disposition 1906. And so if you could amend your resolution to pull that one off as well.
So moved, thank you.
So all you need to do is say you'll pull it.
Okay, I will pull the claim disposition, claim 1906.
Okay. With that, we have the rest of the consent agenda. All those in favor of the consent agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes.
I'm sorry, I rose before it passes. I have a question after you're done.
Okay.
Premature.
Are you on the consent agenda?
I want to make sure he has it.
Yes,
Okay.
we pulled it off.
Thank you.
All right. All those opposed say passes unanimously.
Sorry about
Thank you.
that. It's rough.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to item 9 while we figure out item 6. So we'll go to item 9 under resolutions for action that was pulled from the consent.
Yes, thank you.
And that would be Councilmember Spatafor.
Thank you. But in front of you is a resolution stamped substitute.
Yes,
I would
so
like
you need
to move the substitute.
All right, we have a motion to move the substitute. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. And if you could explain what the substitute,
Sure.
why the substitute?
So the substitute, if you look on the first page, under the last whereas, the recreation passport for fitness facility at Davis Park will read $150,000. The resolution that's in your packet reads $300,000. That was an error that we corrected in committee about a half an hour before this, before COW. So there's a sub in front of you. That's the only change. So I would move the resolution for the Natural Resources Trust Fund grant funding, and then I would acknowledge Councilmember Wood for her question.
Okay, we have a motion before us. Are there questions on this? Yes, Councilmember Hussein.
Yeah, first, I like the 300,000 for Ben Davis a whole lot better, but we'll take that.
There was a statutory limit as to how much we could
All
apply
right.
for.
Very quick, I'm just curious as to, I'm not seeing it obviously in the resolution. What is, did you talk at all in committee about Parks Board, their input, stakeholder input with any of these projects?
We did talk a little bit about that. Many of the projects were part of the Parks Master Plan, and the Parks Director indicated that this will be going before the Parks Board Wednesday night at their next meeting, and that also, when it comes to some of the other projects on here, they had planned to do some neighborhood outreach, particularly as it relates to some of the parks where pickleball courts were being removed at St. Joe Park and the tennis court replacement at Letts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, pickleball courts were being put in from courts that were being removed at St. Joe's. Excuse me. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Okay, other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, and again, this is an application. We've not received this funding yet, and as an application, if it is approved, it will come back to us at that time. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, I believe the individual would like to address the city council and due to a language barrier did not sign in regarding claim 1906, so.
So we will give the gentleman 3 minutes, just as we would with anyone else. So,
Mr. Nadai, you can come. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm coming again for the third time to try to dismiss the trash.
sir, can you move the microphone a little bit
Oh,
closer
yes,
to you?
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is my third time about trash removal for 4630 Christian Central. And I'm trying to do my best. And I don't say I want the whole thing be dismissed, which was 1,250. But if I can have it better than this, for I can keep moving for the best I can to finish the project I have for that house. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So council members, Spatafor?
Yeah, excuse me. So this is item number 6, it's claim number 1906. I would move the denial just to get it in front of us, and then I'll discuss it. So I'll move the denial.
Okay, we have a motion before us.
Okay, so when we heard the claim originally, there was some confusion about timing. There were 2 claims on this property. One for it was a tag fee that was waived, and then the claimant appealed the original claim and did receive a $1,108 reprieve from the Claims Review Committee, but did appeal that as well. When it came back to the committee, we did take a look at the photos that were just on the screen and looked at the evidence, and there certainly was a claim. There was no attestation to the contrary by the claimant, rather just that it should be reduced. The committee did go ahead and reinstate the waived fees of $1,108 so that the original claim, we felt there may have been a miscommunication given that there were 2 claims on the house, and that the original fee of $2,304, while probably appropriate, was reduced by the Claims Review Committee, and we did grant that lowering to $1,116, and do recommend that the claim be granted partially for $1,108, but continue on with the $1,116 balance that's due.
Okay. Are there questions? Take a quick look. Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't necessarily have a problem with the modified fee, but I just want to make sure that this gentleman understands that we're granting part of the claim and we're denying part of the claim, so that he doesn't have to pay the entire $2,304.
And we in committee, and I won't speak for
Right.
our claimant, but in committee, it was made clear that the dollar amount was $2,300, that we were reducing it, and he wished to still pursue the appeal.
Oh, I see. All right, thank you.
All right. So what we would be looking at is the balance, which would be, we would be denying the balance of $1,116, and that he would be receiving relief of $1,108.
That's correct.
Okay? Has everybody got that? Okay. Any other comments?
I would just say,
Yes.
the committee will be looking at a resolution to up the amount of maximum that will go to the Claims Review Committee, so that there's a little bit more review on some of those larger claims as well.
All right, thank you. With that, all those in favor of supporting the resolution as it came from City Operations, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, passes 7-1.
Okay, we are to item 13, the appointment of Amber Denny.
And Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. So Amber Denny came before us at the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Board on March 1st. This is her first choice. We offered her an opportunity to be here tonight. Obviously, she couldn't make it. So if she is approved, she will be available to go to clerk's office as early as tomorrow morning for approval. I guess I'd like to put this on record. She said she'd like to serve on the DEI board to help provide insight and network to help better the Lansing community. She said growing up, she didn't have change makers that looked like her or anyone look as a leader that looked like her. So it's very important to her that she helps set an example for her Lansing native family. I also want to recognize that I don't consider myself an expert, and I truly wish to connect with and learn from others while we walk this path together. So we asked if she was willing to attend any of the individual ward meetings, and she said she would. And with that, I would move the resolution in support.
We have a motion before us. Are there any questions from council members? Seeing none, Mayor Shore.
Ms. Denny did contact my office today. I didn't have a chance to tell you. I just got a text. I apologize. Her partner suddenly passed away.
Oh,
So I know we all offer our condolences, and we did inform her that this can still move forward. She can contact the city clerk to come in and take the oath when she's ready.
okay.
But I apologize for not telling you that, Mr. Chairman. We got that late in the day, and we wanted to just assure her she's got to do what she's got to do, and that we're thinking of her, and she can get with the clerk. So my apologies for not bringing that up sooner.
All right, thank you. All those in favor of the appointment say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, item 14, setting a show cause for 651 East Jolly.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure, so we do have a resolution before us tonight. If approved, the show cause hearing would be set for March 27th, 7 p.m., 10th floor of City Hall. With regard to this particular property, the listed taxpayer is Carolyn Engelhard Smith Living Trust. The SEV is $47,800. For folks at home, in order to qualify for a make safe or demolished, per state statute, the estimated cost of repairs has to actually exceed that SEV, which is half the property value. So again, the estimated cost of repairs, $75,464, so more than actually double the threshold, or close to double the threshold necessary. No permits have been pulled as of our last public safety meeting. Did reach out, I believe it was yesterday. No permits have been pulled still. The original red tag date for this particular property was 12/2/2018, according to the demo board overview sheet. This was put in, this wasn't actually put before the demo board until September of 2022. This was 4 years later. There were some reasons for that. One of the reasons is that it took a while, essentially, for the continued deterioration for it to eventually reach that threshold of 47,800. Demo board issued a make safe or demolish on November 22nd of 2022. They then reviewed it 60 days later. It was not complied, so they sent the request for show cause to council on 124. Again, we took this up as part of our last public safety meeting. The property owner was not there, but we did have a report from code. Again, no work has been done, no permits have been pulled, so I would move for a show cause hearing to be set for March 27th.
Okay, are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, item 15, support of House Bill 4012.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure. So just to give folks a little bit of background on this, we've been struggling with speed limits on our state trunk lines, our state corridors for quite some time. You think of South MLK, you think of Cedar Street, and to give you a little bit more history, back in 2012, the city actually asked the state. What we did was we initiated a speed study for those particular trunk lines. And what we were hoping is that, and there were some inconsistencies in terms of speed limits across, or I should say along those corridors. Some as low as 35, some as high as 45. And what we were hoping is that a speed study conducted by the Michigan State Police and MDOT would come back and basically say that, that particularly the higher end, that 45 miles per hour, was simply too fast, and that we could kind of create less fluctuation on the corridor and lower speed limits. Unfortunately, MCL 257, which is a state statute, actually controls the way that speed limits are set on state trunk lines, actually has baked into it this 85th percentile policy. And so essentially what the state does when you initiate a speed study is they come out and they count traffic volume, and then they count speed. And then they set the speed limit at whatever 85th percentile, I should say at the 85th percentile of what the actual speeds on the street are during that period of time that they actually studied those speeds. The way that further, there is a rounding up with regards to MCL. So as an example, I'm sorry, MCL 257. So as an example, if they come out and the 85th percentile is 42.6, then per the statute as written, they actually have to round it up to 45 miles per hour for that portion of the corridor, as opposed to being able to round down to 40. So in any event, I began working with Sarah Anthony, Representative Sarah Anthony, a few years back, and we started taking a look at the issues on South MLK. Because since 2013 is when they actually increased the speed limit, we know that we have seen a number of traffic accidents, whether they be vehicle on vehicle, vehicular with pedestrian, and we know that the nature of those have been, the percentage of fatal accidents has increased. So in any event, we started looking at the policies at the state level that allowed for this type of thing to occur. And we also worked with MDOT with regards to the built environment on South MLK specifically. And we're trying to determine still whether there are things that can be done with regards to the built environment to slow speeds down naturally. In any event, Representative Anthony, now Senator Anthony, had begun working on some bills to take care of the issues that were that are within MCL 257, particularly that 85th percentile. She gave me a buzz January 13th to let me know that we did not need to proceed with that work because Representative Slaw on January 12th had actually proposed a bill, this is House Bill 4012, that would do what we were trying to get done, essentially. And so the bill as written would allow for, as an example, municipalities to ask for a speed study. They would come in, do the speed study as they do now, and as opposed to rounding to the nearest multiple of 5, this would allow them to round to a multiple of 5. So again, if you have, as an example, 44.9, they would actually be able to round down to 40. That's the first piece. The second piece, as we understand it, would actually allow the city also to, along with the state, to initiate a pedestrian study, a traffic study, a safety study. And if, as an example, when you have a really unique corridor like South MLK where you have a state trunk line, but it literally meanders through commercial districts and residential districts, and there are adjacent parks and things of that nature. If the study comes back and says, okay, look, 45 miles or 50 miles or whatever the study is essentially setting it at, if that comes back and says, look, this is inappropriate, then they can actually set it as low as the 50th percentile of whatever that speed being traveled on that corridor is, if that makes sense. And so we talked to the MML, we talked to the Association of Police Chiefs, we talked to the Michigan Bicycle Association. All are in support of this, all believe that this actually gets done what we needed to get done so that we can reduce speeds on some of these state trunk lines and make our community safer. So with that being said, we did in public safety support this out of public safety. And so this is a resolution in support of that House bill. The House bill is actually sitting before the Committee on Transportation, Mobility, and Infrastructure right now. And so this would actually allow us to convey this over to that committee as well as our Lansing delegation in terms of the legislature. So with that being said, I would move the resolution.
We have a motion on the resolution. Are there any questions or concerns? Yes, Councilmember Jackson.
I'm looking forward to supporting this, especially hearing from the people on the northern part of South MLK, right before the water and the bridge. But I think we're assuming, one, that a lower speed limit will slow people down. I think there might be some support on that, but I'm not too optimistic just seeing how fast people go. And also it's strange that with the percentiles, it's strange that we can, if people speed way faster than the speed limit, we take, you know, all of their numbers to come up with that 85th percentile when there might already be speeding, you know, more than that. So I guess it's what we can do right now, but hopefully it slows people down.
Yeah, and if I could just respond very quickly. So the spirit of that is that fluctuation kills, but the reality is speed and fluctuation kills. So what ended up happening, again, the data's been studied. What ended up happening is that we had fluctuations from, I don't know, 25 to 50 or 30 to 50 or whatever it might be. And now those fluctuations, they still exist. There's still a 20-mile to 25-mile fluctuation between the slowest and the fastest, but now they're at the higher end. So now you're looking at like 40 to 60 or 40 to 65. And so again, we had made the case that we believed as they actually enhanced, or I should say, elevated the speed limit, that there were more crashes and that there were more fatalities and there were more serious bodily injury, that type of thing. And at first, we weren't believed, but our police department did step in, our data analyst did step in, worked with the state, and we found out that we were absolutely right. And so since 2013, that corridor, along with Cedar and along with Saginaw, some of the other corridors where we saw the speed limits increased, all of those are less safe today than they were then. The other piece is we know that this isn't going to necessarily take care of all the issues. That's why we're also looking at the built environment, applying for grants at the state level to add things along the corridor that might reduce speed. But it's something that is absolutely critical. And I feel like the speed along, particularly South MLK, I keep coming back. Another piece too is we heard from a number of business owners that said, we're thinking about folding up our tent. This isn't even a safe place for, as an example, patronage. Or we've heard from people that have come up and they've been ready to turn into our business, and somebody was coming up 60, 65 miles per hour behind them. They decided to continue on, and they just didn't come back. So it's been a huge issue from a safety standpoint, from obviously a residential pedestrian piece, business piece. So it's something that's necessary. But again, we have more work to do even beyond this for sure. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, item 16, claim number 1933.
Okay, before we go in to this, I would like to pass the gavel to the Vice President. At this time, I would like to recuse myself from this vote. Juanita is a board member of mine on the retired and senior volunteer programs for Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton County, who does make recommendations on my wages and things like that, so I believe it would be inappropriate for me to vote on this particular item. So I would move to recuse myself.
All right, thank you. So all those in favor of Councilmember Woods' recusal, say yes?
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes.
Okay, I will handle the motion moving forward, but I'm not voting on it. So, Councilmember Spatafor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move the resolution for claim number 1933 denying in total $4,538 in trash removal fees. Property was cited in a trash violation on the 9th of September 2022 with I'm waiting for the pictures here. With a claim compliance date of the 16th of September, the officer returned to recheck the property on the 20th, which is 4 days after the due date. There was still a violation. Therefore, it was submitted to the trash contractor to abate. Faith, could we have the pictures? Thank you very much. Those are the wrong ones. This is number 16. This one's on pen. It was nighttime when they took this one. There we go. All right, so these are the right ones. Thank you, Faith. The contractor did arrive on the 23rd, which is 5 days after the due date, still in violation, as noted in the pictures. For cleanup to be performed, code enforcement sent proper notice to the taxpayer of record per the assessor's office. The claimant has still not updated the address with that office. During the committee, we had discussion about whether or not this was actively being used. It was not. There were several violations. In fact, several times the grass has been taken care of. The piles of garbage as well as overgrown toys were removed from the site. It is not currently being used for its commercial purposes, so we do recommend denial in full of the claim.
We have a motion of denial. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of denial say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record reflect it was 7 with 1 recusal.
Okay, we are to Speaker registration for public comment on city government-related matters. If you wish to address council and haven't filled out a yellow sheet with Lauren in the back, please jump up and do so in the next 30 seconds or so. And in the meantime, we're to reports of city officers, boards, and commissions.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. I move that all items be considered as read in full and referrals be made by the President.
We have a motion before us. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
From the clerk, we have minutes of boards and commissions.
Placed on file.
And from the mayor, we have Lansing-based bidders percentage difference,
Ways and Means.
and an ordinance and setting the hearing for the ordinance to change the maximum contract amount for the Lansing-based bidder ordinance.
Ways and Means.
We have the assignment of the stadium lease, license, and service agreement to Diamond Baseball Holdings LLC.
Committee of a Whole.
Grant acceptance, Michigan State Housing and Development Authority Emergency Solutions Match Grant.
Ways and Means.
And the grant acceptance, MISHDA Emergency Solutions Federal Grant.
Excuse me, Ways and Means.
We have IDD 1 of 2023, an industrial development district for consumers energy at 700 North Canal, and the corresponding setting the public hearing.
Development and Planning.
And we have PPE, personal property tax exemption, and the setting the public hearing for the same property.
Development and Planning.
The appointment of Mohammed Kawi II to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Board.
Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee.
An ordinance to increase the membership of the Principal Shopping District Board and the corresponding setting the hearing.
Development and Planning.
Act 2 of 2023, purchase of real property at the northeast corner of South Washington Avenue and Lenawee Street to facilitate the construction of the Public Media Center Innovation Concert Venue.
Committee of a Whole.
Grant acceptance for the Michigan Department of Transportation Local Transportation Alternatives Program.
Ways and Means.
And grant application for the MDOT Local Bridge Program.
Ways and Means.
And from Councilmember Spatafor, we have Claims Review Committee expanding to Claims Authority to $5,000.
City Operations.
Communications and petitions, we have a notice from the Liquor Control Commission. East Lansing Food Co-op request for a new SDM licensed at 1605 East Kalamazoo Street.
City Operations.
And a communication from Michael Lynn regarding city employment.
Placed on file.
We are to remarks by council members.
Remarks by council members. Are there any remarks by council members? Seeing none.
Remarks by the mayor.
Mayor Shore.
I completely forgot before, I wanted to congratulate Pablo's with their new opening on the east side. That's really exciting to have that restaurant there. And I want to thank MSU women's basketball coach Susie Merchant, who sometime in the last hour announced that she was stepping down as coach. So health reasons, but certainly she's done just a fantastic job with the women's basketball team over at MSU. So I want to thank her for all she's done. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we are to public comment on city government-related matters. I want to acknowledge one written letter from Mark and Lois Polano supporting the Fair Chance Housing Law in Ingham County. And then our first speaker is Daniel Arnold, followed by Walker.
Hey everybody, this is Daniel Arnold, Facebook guy Smiley, and you know I love this city. I don't know, my voice is being silly, but you know, it's the capital city, and it's just so many great things happen here, and I'm looking at all you council members and the mayor and everything, but then I feel the same connection with all these people back here. All these people, Michael and everybody around here just for so long, Norma here, just so many people really care about this city. And there's just like countless things I have to talk about, but I'd like to address about the Community Forum on Public Mental Health Treatment. You guys need to, come out to that on the fourth Thursday from 5:30 to 7 o'clock at the Fledge. It's just been really phenomenal. Jody Washington was there. The CEO of CMH was there. Just people having their voices heard about, about mental health, and just some really hard testimonies coming out. But I've had struggles with treatment and wanting to be an activist and thinking like, oh, I don't have a voice. Like, am I standing alone? And it's just like we're all coming together here in terms of that, and I'm really excited for that. So yeah, that's the fourth Thursday from 5:30 to 7. You should all come and show up at the Fledge on that fourth Thursday. Maybe not this month, but some month. And then another thing to talk about is the ad hoc committee on homelessness. That has been just plain incredible. Hearing, like I said, the voices of the public and different nonprofits and stuff really caring about the city and talking about the hard stuff. I mean, and that was headed up by Councilmember Hussein and Councilmember Brown, and you guys really just took the time to really listen to people and hear what they had to say. That was just so incredible. That's the second Tuesday of every month at 3:30. Everybody should come out to that and the committee forum on public mental health. And then my third item is Nation Outside. We got them out here. They're really exciting about what they're doing in terms of helping people to, with their leasing, getting an apartment, starting a new life, returning citizens. You may not know it, but I've been detained 4 times, and 2 for religious protest. And it's like, I have the support of the city. You guys are so nice to me and have this nice apartment. I've had a housing voucher for 8 years. And, I had my opportunity because it didn't cross the line as a felony or whatever. But, I'm totally supported by all you guys. Councilmember Jackson, Councilmember Coast, Councilmember Hussein, Councilmember Garza, Councilmember Wood, Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Spitzley, Councilmember Spatafor, Mayor Shore. I love this city. And one more thing, I got 15 seconds left. When you leave this building, thank your security people that are taking care of this building and the police, because they're doing a wonderful job, and I get to talk to them every day. So thank you.
Thank
you. Next, we have Walker, followed by Tony Gant.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here again. In my past, matter of fact, in 2 of my past addresses, I've spoke about the need to do something about the mental health that's going on in the city of Lansing. Unfortunately, my words came true in Michigan State. I feel that maybe it's time that we start, the city of Lansing, petitioning the federal government for assistance. The situation in Michigan State is absolute evidence that something is needed. There's time for emergency grants. Other people are talking about these issues, and something needs to be done about them. In addition to that, it seems that the issue of homelessness and lack of places to live for returning citizens is simply being ignored. As we all know, especially Mr. Jackson, I would assume, that psychiatrists have studies that addresses stress points. Homelessness is one of the super high issues. These things push people to levels unbearable. As I've stated before, I know none of you have slept under a bridge. Very few of you have probably even thought of the idea of homelessness. It's time that we start addressing beyond the corridors of our own mind. This is what the city council is for the development of a city. It's movement into a more powerful city, a concrete city, a good place to live. The situation at East Lansing hurts me to my heart. I also ask that we move forth on the bill to start addressing the issue of homelessness in Lansing, and that we start thinking about what are we going to do about the mental health before summer comes.
everything increases with summertime. And this is something we need to plan ahead for. Before I go, I'd like to compliment you because I've heard on the news that people from the city is looking into the 710 red tag houses. I'd like to compliment you on the heating facilities to help us so that people are not frozen to death. But we need to move forward strongly. This is the capital city, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tony Gant, followed by Asia Wilson.
Mr. Mayor, honorable council members, Madam President, Vice President Garza, it's good to be before you guys again, right? I'm excited, and if you guys will learn anything about me, I just don't give up, right? I refuse to quit, especially when it's something so important. And I'm back before you again to urge you guys to take seriously introducing an ordinance around fair chance housing for the city of Lansing. Recently, the state of Michigan just amended Elliott Larson to add a whole group of people as a protected class. I commend that, right? That's important. But still in this state, and in many cities in this state, it's still legal to discriminate against people with criminal records. Why is this a problem? Because a lot of people with criminal records look like me, right? So it's an in runaround. And many of you know this is a runaround to protected class. So because felony records are so highly distributed in the African American community, we are now discriminating against people with criminal records that a lot of them are African Americans. 1 in 3 African American men have a felony conviction, but bigger than that, because we want to punish them for the rest of their life. But what you got to understand, you're not just punishing them. I have a 5-year-old. So when you're punishing me by not giving me a job, not allowing me housing, you're punishing a 5-year-old that did nothing. I know y'all don't really care because I can see some of y'all face, but this is generational harm, right? This 5-year-old that did nothing has a 3 times more than black boys, 3 times more chance going to prison because I was incarcerated. Not because my 5-year-old is inherently a criminal. That's not why. Because experts know that I'm going to struggle for the rest of my life with a criminal record to get housing, to get employment, to get a college education. You even bar people from getting into some colleges, right? You're causing generational harm. And then you decry what you see in the street. That's hypocrisy. Thank you. Do something about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Asia Wilson, followed by Nick Zandy.
Hello, my name is Asia Wilson. I am the Lansing Chapter Engagement Specialist. I too am formerly incarcerated. I'm also a mother. During my incarceration, it was really tough. I had to rely on, other people around me to take care of my son. I didn't want him to know I was incarcerated, so trying to maintain my mental stability, worrying about if he's fed, if he's bathed, if he's being treated right. That was pretty much my top worry the whole time I was incarcerated. I've been home for a little over 3 years. Weeks after I came home, my mother passed away suddenly. Trying to deal with that, it's been extremely hard. In order for me to grieve properly, I need stable housing. I need a form of employment to raise my son correctly. And I've faced nothing but barriers with all of the above since I've come home. So I'm here on behalf of other people like me because I'm not the only person that's been through this. And I still currently face barriers with housing. So trying to raise my son to show him the flip side of life, it's been a challenge. So I'm standing before you on behalf of other people like me that don't have the voice and don't have a strength to, pick themselves up and keep pushing, asking you to pass the Fair Chance Housing Ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Nick Zandy, followed by Mike Lynn.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. You probably already know me because of the many times I've attended and spoke at council meetings, as well as constituency contact and neighborhood organization meetings across the city. But my name is Nicholas Zandy, candidate for Lansing City Council and resident of the 2nd Ward from the Old Everett neighborhood. And as a resident of the South Side, I feel it is my duty to speak about the vacant properties on Edgewood Boulevard. Now, my best hope is we don't bring up that self-storage facility nonsense that plagued many past council meetings, despite the fact that most council members and city residents, myself included, made it clear that we didn't want it and we didn't need it. But it still definitely needs to be filled in and not get neglected for eternity or face getting demolished. And we should consider other options for the vacant property, such as a sporting arena or something, since I believe it might be big enough for something like that. And the old Hooters that was vacated a few years ago. I've said this again and again, but it should be used for another restaurant, something like, I don't know, Chicken Shack or something. And the old Sam's Club should not be used for something completely useless like self-storage, because the south side of Lansing deserves better than being neglected and mistreated, which is one of the main reasons I support opening up the city charter this November. That is all I need to say, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Mike Lynn, followed by Mitch Rice.
You yielded that time to me too, so I get 4 minutes.
Yield it to us.
I'll wait till you reset. So my comments are, again, kind of on the same level. The Elliott Larson Act that just got a new boost is great. It's a great thing. I appreciated that. Although I had to watch the Emperor with No Clothes continue, and I'm talking directly to you, Andy, continue to present that as if on his Facebook as if he was extremely happy about that. Not, it's good. You can be happy about that. I'm not saying you're not. My only question is, when Elliott Larson is violated, what do we do about it? Because you've been found guilty of the Elliott Larson Act. You, personally. October 6th, the jury came back and found the city of Lansing guilty. What do you do about it? So why would you want more laws in place that you can't abide by? Directly. You owe me $1 million right now. You're fighting every way you can, you and Smirka, with every legal maneuver that you can make to not hold accountability for yourself. That's the Emperor with No Clothes. And the problem is with the city council, and this is the problem I have with you all, is that I know that you all see me. I asked that question. I ask you now. Do you see me? Do you hear me? I've been here for 2 years, 3 years now, explaining these issues, explaining what I went through. I've brought other people here. You have a firefighter, a fire chief, and Chief Odom, who's come here and expressed to you his own circumstances in the fire department as he sits now today, and had a case against this man and his administration. And we just act like this is like, and then when I see the Elliott Larson Act things being added to it, and the celebration coming from this man that's been found guilty of it, your office was found guilty of it, that's the Emperor with No Clothes, because nobody is sitting him down and telling him to his face. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So it doesn't matter how many elite black people you get into your organization that are not directed to or here because they're trying to break down racist systems, but more trying to better their position inside of it. It doesn't change the facts that you are what you are, a duck. I will be here let me stop. I'll be here every week to do this also until you're gone. But the Emperor with No Clothes also comes into mind when I just seen you say that you're going to go run for Congress, or that you're putting a committee together to acknowledge that. And I want to say this about it. I don't truly believe that you believe you can win that seat. What I do believe is that you're going to siphon dollars out of this community, to figure out how else you can put that into whatever next position you want to get. And once you come to the term that I can't win this position, you're just going to say, you know what, I love Lansing too much, and here comes another lie to the people that you care anything about this city. 5 years I've been saying your whole idea was to move on past this city. So you're leaving us with all types of BS that we can't deal with because you don't care what this city looks like 2 years from now. You have no plans on being here. 8 seconds left. I don't got enough to lambast you. I'll be here every 2 weeks to do that. And I really actually hope you get that seat on Congress so you get the hell out of here.
Thank you. Next is Mitch Rice, followed by Norma Bauer.
Good evening, Mayor Shore, President of the City Council, Carol Wood, Vice President Jeremy Garza, and council members Peter Spatafor, Adam Hussein, Jeffrey Brown, Brian Cost, and Brian Jackson, and Patricia Spitzley. As an active and concerned citizen of Ward 2, I'm here again before you to request the City Council pass a fair chance housing ordinance. This will provide the formerly incarcerated an actual chance at housing in Lansing. Research has shown that a criminal record is not an effective measure for landlords to find good tenants. In fact, using that arbitrary measure without appropriate consideration eliminates people who will work at being good tenants. We also know that stable housing for the formerly incarcerated is good policy for communities in the state of Michigan. It reduces a return to incarceration. A right of every Lansing resident is a safe and affordable place to live. Returning citizens have too many arbitrary barriers held against them when released. Those who have been previously incarcerated are labeled and stigmatized as not worthy of a fair chance at housing in Lansing. Now is the time to reverse the problem for the city of Lansing. In Michigan, these other communities have passed a fair chance housing ordinance. Detroit, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, Jackson. How come, as a capital city of Michigan, Lansing is lagging behind and not taking the lead? Change is needed, not status quo. No more review and discussion about a fair chance housing ordinance. I'm asking this city council to take action to pass a fair chance housing ordinance. I've been told by city council members that the city attorney is still reviewing a draft ordinance. It is time to move and require the city attorney to complete his part so the ordinance can be introduced for passage.
Thank you. Next, we have Norma Bauer, followed by Erica Lynn.
Thank you all for serving and for figuring out how to do your jobs. It's got to be tough. And I will say that I loved the way Mayor Shore was when he was running for the legislature, because I worked on his campaign, but it feels like somebody bought and sold him because he's just all about economic development now and nothing about the citizens. I'm sorry about that. You may or may not know that I serve on the ALPAC, Allies and Leaders for Police and Community Trust, and I passionately want police to be trustworthy. And I see an evolution, thanks to Chief Sosaby. Half of the Lansing police force has been trained in the Memphis model of crisis intervention team training, where they learn how to calm themselves and assess a situation for themselves, not necessarily what a racist citizen reported to the dispatcher. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. We're finding that even a SWAT team member who saw a CIT trained officer deal with a situation said, wow, I couldn't have handled it that well myself. And a guy who was hiding out because there's a warrant for his arrest called the non-emergency number and asked for a CIT trained officer to pick him up because he knew he'd be treated with respect and courtesy and given options for treatment because his crisis was something that could be dealt with by something other than jail. And we have special courts for that too. So they learn about all these options, and all the organizations like the Village and the Fledge and so on, who do so much good. So I heard that there was a new training and there were more police officers trained, and they say first responders in the capital area. So I don't know how well Sosebee is doing to reach its goal of 100% of the Lansing police force. And I don't know if the EMTs like Mike Lynn, that we don't have nearly enough of in the fire department, are also taking CIT training, but I think that would be wonderful. So just congratulations on that wonderful progress in the city of Lansing, because I believe there's a smidgen of hope out there that maybe citizens will have reason to begin to trust that maybe the police officer who intervenes with a crisis is going to treat them with respect and courtesy. I think the word's getting around in the capital area in general, and when it happens in Lansing, I'll feel like we're making progress on the LPACT. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and our final speaker tonight is Erica Lynn.
Hello. Real quick, I do want to voice support for Nation Outside and the efforts they came here to talk about. What Tony Gant voiced about the systemic nature when it comes to racism being involved in their efforts, that's a perfect segue into what I came here to talk to you all about. I want to acknowledge, and it's really important that this is heard with open ears and receptivity, because it is the truth. Racism remains the most accepted form of oppression in our society. That is fact. It is consistently the form of discrimination that never receives the level of urgency, resources, and commitment to address the problems with the people affected. We see this time and time again when we have people continuing to ask for action and not conversation. This is largely because it permeates every crevice of our society. So addressing these issues requires more than just surface level changes. And that is the status quo, surface level. It requires digging deeper, systemic change, lots of time, lots of resources, lots of money. But instead we get we get resolutions. We get committees that talk about racism and discrimination. On June 22nd, you all passed a resolution declaring racism as a public health crisis. That was a major thing at the time. Across the countries, we see people, groups, individuals, politicians, governments not acknowledge racism and its effects, downplaying its existence. And somehow you all think that you're different, and even better, but you're not. Your silence and your refusal to find the will and find the way to acknowledge our city's issues with racism, discrimination, and retaliation is you downplaying racism and denying its existence. This administration is directly responsible. Your administration, Andy Shore, is directly responsible for the very real harm that is done to people in our community, people that I deeply care about. This council continues to overlook all of it. Even if that resolution was a carbon copy of the county's, it is still your words. It's your commitment. And it stated, we as a governmental body have a responsibility to ensure an optimal quality of life for all of our Black Lansing residents. So when the city of Lansing was found guilty by a jury of 12 of creating a hostile work environment based on race this past October, do you genuinely feel that you're living up to that responsibility? As elected officials, you do have a responsibility to use your platform, your voice, and every resource available to acknowledge the issues and the harm that has been done and to support the victims in this situation. You need to know that moving forward without addressing the harm already done perpetuates systemic racism. So that means that you are a part of the problem. The DOJ has now come in and now is imposing. Is that what it takes, being forced? That doesn't sound like the commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion that rolls off of your tongues so easily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, the city attorney's office has been working on an opinion dealing with the fair chance housing, and I believe that will be ready for the next public safety meeting, which is March 21st. And if that changes, we'll make sure that people know that. But right now, we're looking at having that opinion before the Public Safety Committee at that time. With that, we are adjourned.